Hello and welcome back to day 11 of building an app from scratch and taking it from... Wow, no. Let's go again, editor. And sorry, anyone who's watching this live. Day 11 of building an AI app from scratch and launching it within 30 days. I am over 30 days going to be building up an application from an idea, which I had just a couple of weeks ago, to hopefully being able to generate some revenue by the end of day 30. And as a challenge, and to show that this is doable by anybody out there, I'm going to be only spending 1 hour per day on this project. We're on day 11, so I've spent 11 hours building so far, and we have a basic MVP in play. The goal this week is to get it ready for the beta test, so I can get it out to my newsletter this Saturday, or maybe even before, in order to start to collect feedback. So based on that, I've actually started to build in systems for collecting feedback, systems for giving away beta invitations, etc., because I need to get information from potential customers, from users about what works, what doesn't work, what they'd like to see, etc. So very quickly, if you haven't seen this stream before, what I'm building is a tool that can take a YouTube video from your channel and create lead magnets based on that particular video. The reason we want to do this is we want to collect email addresses from a video that is successful, and generally what most people will have a non-specific lead magnet below their YouTube video. It'd be something like join my newsletter or here's a quiz, but it won't be specific to the actual video itself. And what I'd like to do is be able to create lead magnets that are specific, because they're going to get a higher conversion rate. So for example, the one you see on screen right now is a PDF guide based off this particular video. This video is about is Microsoft dumping ChatGPT? So it's talking specifically about Microsoft having a new deal with Anthropic, which you heard about last week. And this creates a quick PDF report which kind of gives a summary of what's in the video, has a link to the video, and it has some action points. For example, that is one lead magnet that we could give away. But we can actually generate multiple lead magnets off of each video using this tool, and the idea is going to be to take people from a YouTube audience to a email subscriber. Later I will add Instagram, I'll add TikTok, I'll add other platforms, potentially LinkedIn. I'm not sure how useful it would be there, but then all creating lead magnets. And at the moment we can create a checklist, we can create a quiz or an assessment, and we can create a PDF guide using this tool. And I will add multiple different types of lead magnets off the back of this as well. But for now, we're just getting the basics in play. And what we worked on last week was, no, it's no good. We worked on, here we go, the ability to have beta testers. So being able to bring people in, make them beta testers, give them a certain amount of credits, give them view how many credits they've given, and they can give us feedback. And the feedback appears in here. This was an example one. Your site sucks and so do you, and I will be able to manage that. I can add admin notes, I can set the status, etc. So we're going to be collecting beta feedback once we launch. So that's where we are. Now, what were we doing is the big question, because I don't quite remember. So everything is basically working. What we need to do is check what the last things we were doing were, because it was on Friday. So I do not remember. Enhanced testing. So we went ahead and did that already. Step 4. So we added admin user state management. Okay, that was for testing. So I wanted to make sure I could test what my beta testers are seeing. Feedback request we added. Cool. Feedback collection we added. Onboarding tutorial we did add, but it is a bit rubbish. So I think that's what we're going to work on today. Oh, no sound. No, you're not being ignored. Don't worry. I think my microphone has turned itself off. There we go. Sorry, TikTok. That probably works now. Yeah, it's probably the microphone. Tell me if you can hear me now. I would highly recommend hopping onto YouTube anyway, because you can see everything. It's much better than this, what you're seeing. If you're on YouTube, then you're in the right place, because on TikTok it is my front and my back camera, which means I need to place the camera in between it. It's a mess. Unfortunately, TikTok cannot stream I cannot stream a desktop to TikTok without using a PC, and I only have Mac, so it's a bit of a pain. Right, so what are we doing? We're going to do an onboarding tutorial, right? So we have an onboarding tutorial. It's just a bit rubbish at the moment, so I'll show you what it looks like. So I can actually reset it, so it'll trigger again when I create something. So then I go back here, and it should, there we go, bring up the onboarding tutorial. So this is what it is right now. So step 1 of 7, welcome to the lead magnet generator. That's fine. Complete your brand profile. So it's telling me where I can do it, but I can't actually do it here. So this is a bit useless. So first, let's set up your brand profile. It helps us create personalized lead magnets. That's fine, but I can't do it. And then step 3, add your YouTube video. Again, I can't do it. So what's the point of this? And then choose your lead magnet type. So what we need to do is we need to split these over different pages. I think that's the way to do it. Yeah. So right now, oh, I'm going to use audio. I totally forgot about audio. Hey Lovable, getting back to the project. Right now, the onboarding tutorial, the actual stages are fine, but the user is unable to enact the actual actions it is suggesting we do. So it will highlight something and it will say like, hey, fill out your profile, but they can't actually do that. So we need to work out the best way to move forward. We either walk them through the tutorial first time, so it'll actually take them to the profile page and then they can fill it out, and then it takes them to the next page, but that's going to require more complex logic in terms of making sure they've completed the action before taking them on to the next stage of the tutorial. Or we will keep it on that front page, but we need to more clearly see what you are highlighting, because at the moment you are blurring out the background while highlighting the step. So no, let's go with the first one for now and let's see how that is. So I want you to do the onboarding tutorial, but we need to navigate them to the page and have them do the action. Still allow them to skip it if they want to, but if they do not skip it, take them from one page to the next, have them do the action, and then move them on to the next stage. So we're going to make it a bit more sophisticated. Thank you. Thank you, Nat. Team China. Are we Team China? Jayo. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and run that. People keep asking how much is it costing me to do this as well. So I'm running on ChatGPT 5. So far, to build and test this project has cost me about $1, so not very expensive. I had one big testing day here, which was 56 cents. That's fine. When we go live and we start actually getting this into the hands of people, then obviously it'll cost more, because if it's successful, we'll have more people running queries. That said, each query is costing me like a cent, less than a cent, so it's very cheap. So once we get up and running, it will be relatively low cost. In terms of Lovable, I'm currently on the 400 credits a month plan. I've spent 250. That is not just on this project. I use it for other things, internal projects in particular. But that 400 credits a month, I believe, is $100. Which, considering how much power you get, and considering I've been using this for, I don't know when the reset is. Reset is okay, halfway through the month. Is pretty good. And if you're running a business and if you're generating cash with this, that's very marginal. So it's going to go ahead and enhance the onboarding tutorial. So the build cost is one thing, and that's going to be through Lovable. You can, what I often do is I will often start a project in Lovable, then I'll use GitHub to move it over to Cursor, and then I pay Cursor is $20 a month plus some API charges for the model. So it works out cheaper, I would say, but even doing this at $100 a month is very cheap compared to if you were hiring a coder, for example. So as a business expense, it's tiny, and then for the operational cost, it will be very small. I'm aiming for like 80-90% profit margin on this once we get up and running. Cool, so that is done. Enhanced onboarding tutorial now navigates users through the actual flow, waits for action completions. So let's see if it works. So to do this, we need to go to admin, testing tools, reset onboarding. So now when I go back, it should, okay. Welcome to your lead magnet generator. Transform your YouTube videos into powerful lead magnets that capture and convert your audience. Let's take a quick tour. So I can skip it at any point. That's really important with tutorials. I don't know about you, but they can be very annoying. So complete your brand profile. Can't do anything. So I don't think it's changed anything. So I might need to push an update. So it currently looks identical. And the reason we want some kind of onboarding tutorial is when we go to beta testing in particular, people won't necessarily know what this is. So I need to guide them through the stages. Some people won't need it. So I'm personally, whenever I'm given a new tool, I will not read the instructions. I will not follow the tutorial. I'll just kind of start playing around with it. Lots of people are like that. That's fine. They can just press skip tour, no problem. But other people will need a bit of help. So complete your brand profile. So I can't go to profile. So let's set up your brand profile first. This helps us create. So I click here. Okay, but that is not. So it's not working. So that's. We're getting there. Okay, Lovable. Thank you for making those changes. However, on step 2, when I click go to your profile, it navigates to the page, but the pop-up modal is still the focus, and the actual ability to change the profile is unavailable because the profile area is blurred out and is not in focus, so they can't actually complete the action on that page. I assume that's going to be the same with all the other steps as well, so please review that. We need them to be able to see and input information. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm using the new voice mode inside of Lovable because 1, it's better for the stream instead of you watching me type. 2, you won't notice that I cannot type to save my life, and I will spell everything wrong. And it's also a really good voice model. They're using 11 labs under the hood, so it has no problems with transcription at all. So you're absolutely right. This tells me I'm using Claude right now. This is how Claude always answers. It starts with this first phrase, which is always like, you're right, you're correct, you're absolutely right. The backdrop blur is preventing users from interacting with the page content. I'll fix the onboarding. Okay, so it's going to go ahead and do that. So I would be happy today. What have we done? We've done 13 minutes. First priority is to get this onboarding flow in place, and then we need to look at what else are we doing. Oh, we need to add terms and conditions. We need to add privacy policy, which I'm going to do offline. I'll build them and then bring them over. Oh, actually, do you think... You know what? Let's do it in Lovable. Let's see. Give it a shot. Because my Lovable project knows more about what the application is and should be able to generate better terms and conditions and privacy policies based on that. Otherwise, the method I was going to use, or the method I started to use, is having it ask questions. So you can go over to Claude and you can say, I want to create terms and conditions, please interview me on my needs. And when it interviews you, you can provide all of the details required for terms and conditions and privacy policy. I was going to do it in Claude, but we could actually technically do it in Lovable because Lovable already knows about the project. Okay, so let's push that. But that's the secondary thing. I'm also not taking payment yet, so I'm not hugely worried. As soon as I start taking payment, though, I want to make sure the terms and conditions and the privacy policy are solid. You need to do that, well, 1, to protect yourself as a business owner, also because it's fair for the customers, but also because if you want to hook up to Stripe, Stripe is going to check if you have on your checkout page like terms and conditions and access to a privacy policy, and if you don't, they'll suspend your account, so you need to do it. Okay, so welcome to Lead Magnet. Go to profile. That didn't work, did it? So, okay, that sort of kind of worked for a second. What happened was I clicked go to profile on the first modal. The profile page was unblurred for maybe a millisecond and then reblurred itself, and then the next stage modal pop-up appeared. So it looks like the trigger for inputting that information automatically triggered. It may be because I've already got information in there because I'm on a test. Can you just recheck the trigger that moves us onto the next stage? And I will also clear my information, but check that for me, please. So, oh no, this is actually empty, so it's not that. So I just need to check the trigger. That's fine. So it was slightly different this time. Previously, the background was just blurred out, which means it didn't change the focus onto the background at all. This time it flashed up for a second, which tells me that it changed focus to the background to allow me to enter the details, but then the trigger to take it out of that focus mode fired for whatever reason, and it took us on to the next bit. So it's saying I'm absolutely right. Again, the AI is going to glaze us, so I might not be right. The issue that when you've already profiled information, the wait for condition automatically returns true. Okay. This is still useful. I need to remove that trigger. Fix trigger logic. Now there's a 3-second delay. Let's try that. I'm not 100% certain. I might have introduced an error here by giving it some false information. Let's give it a shot. Okay, so admin, I'm going to reset the onboarding, go back to the home page, and that should re-trigger. So, okay, go to profile, boom. Complete the actions above, fill out the form. Okay, so what happened there? Okay, slightly different this time. There was another modal that said your action is to fill out the form. But then after 3 seconds, it automatically triggered regardless. Could you set the trigger on the save and complete profile information, please, instead of trying to do an automatic trigger or tying it to the modal? Thank you. I think that's going to be the best way, because then they can fill out the information, they press save and continue, and it will move them forward. There we go. Some of you over on, I think it was TikTok, have told me that you've started a build as well, which is really cool. If you are, and when you get to a point where you have a link that we can share, I'm very happy to do so. I'll pull it up on stream, I'll do a video on it, and we will send you some traffic and hopefully get you beta testers or customers. As long as it's not like weird. Like if you're building an AI girlfriend, I probably won't. But if it's unproblematic, then yeah, sure, I'll share it. The number of companies that reach out to me, my DMs on TikTok and Twitter are, I get genuine companies who reach out to me, people like OpenAI and Anthropic. That's great. And then about 80% will be, oh, I've got this new AI companion app, and this one's uncensored, and it's like, I'm not interested. But there's a lot of people building that stuff out there. I'm wondering now if you can build stuff like that, not safe for work generators inside of Lovable. I've never tried, and I'm wondering if that's possible. So Claude says, you're absolutely right. It's much better to trigger the next step when they actually click save, rather than trying to detect it automatically. Awesome. Perfect. Now the onboarding is triggered by the actual save button. Way. Okay, so let's try that again. Okay, so it brings up this. It's Going to go to profile, fill out the form will continue automatically. Okay, so I need to update and push that. Let's give that a go. Come on. The updates seem a bit slow today. I'm not sure why. There you go. So onboarding fires. Complete the action above. Okay. Okay. So let's test, brand tone, and then click this. Error saving. User profiles, user Right. So 2 problems here. Duplicate key violates unique constraint, user profiles, user ID key. Okay, that's because I already have information, but that shouldn't matter because we need it to, well, we don't want errors like that. So 2 things. This is overlapping. That's annoying. Let's see if that is responsive. I mean, it is, but it continues to overlap, so that's not going to work. And I'll need to check that on mobile, obviously. And then the second thing is this error saving profile. So I think I can chat in this screen and go to the other one. Okay, that is looking a bit better, but we have, well, one primary problem is error saving profile, duplicate key value violates unique constraint, user underscore profiles underscore user underscore ID underscore key. In Chrome Inspector console, yeah, we have a 409 error, and yeah, it's going to be the duplicate key value. And then the second issue, less critical, is the modal with complete your brand profile is obtrusive. It is sitting and hovering over the area where I need to make the edits. This is on the desktop version. I have not tested mobile version yet, but at the moment it is currently obtrusive, so you need a better way to do that so it does not cover the user input area. So if you see me looking around, it's because this phone is in front of me for TikTok. And TikTok, you're probably looking at my nose. I do apologize. This is all a very clever ruse to get you onto the YouTube stream instead. You either have to look at my nose on TikTok, or you go to the 4K proper screen share over on YouTube. Okay, that is... I'm also... put it up because I'm about to hit, I think today we'll hit, yeah, definitely today we're going to hit 4,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is awesome because this weekend it suddenly just started peaking. So last week, normally you get, I don't know, 10 20 subscribers a day, and over the weekend it was up in the hundreds. Yesterday was 189, sorry, yesterday was 143, Saturday was 189. So the algo gods are pushing us. Okay, I'll fix both issues. So the duplicate key constraints, basically in the back end, in the database specifically, I have user IDs. So I'll show you what that looks like. If you have never coded before, this stuff looks terrifying. It's created by Lovable, so you can talk in natural language and you don't need to worry too much about this. It's useful to kind of know what's going on, but it is not essential, and you can learn it later. But basically, for the user, every user has a user ID, so user profiles ID. That's basically a string of letters and numbers. What it is doing is it's trying to save a new user instead of updating an existing user, and because they have the same ID, it's creating an issue. So what we're doing is basically saying, okay, instead of trying to create a new one, overwrite existing information. So let's go ahead and see what that's done. I read something really interesting recently, and it's a debate that's been going on about, do you need to learn to code, or can you just vibe code everything? And vibe coding's only been around since the beginning of the year, really, so it's very new. Obviously, lots of software developers are understandably quite negative about it because it's a bit of a threat, and the applications that people make can be an absolute mess if you have no knowledge of software at all. But what my position is that vibe coding is a really good way to get started with this stuff, and for entrepreneurs and people who have ideas, they can finally build basic versions, they can build prototypes and see what that looks like in reality, which is super exciting. It's really exciting if you are an entrepreneur, and then you can work with coders later if you need to scale at production. So that's the main use case for it at the moment, and that's why I'm doing this challenge of building an hour a day, and I'm keeping it all on Lovable because Lovable is a lot more accessible. It can help you do all of this complicated stuff, but you're using natural language. As you can see, I'm talking to it. However, what happens is as you start to build, it's a really good way into learning to code, because when you learn to code normally, if you've ever picked up a coding textbook or done a course, it will take you through what is a variable, what is a function, what are dictionaries, how to do the various different loops and stuff like that. It's all very dry. What's much better is to have a project, something that you're actually building, because that makes you do it every day and you'll be excited to build something. And as you go along, you're kind of forced to learn about how code works, because you will hit errors, you will hit blocks in your project, and that forces you to be like, oh shit, okay, how do we deal with this? And you'll go away and learn, and that learning will be specific to building, which is a much cooler way, a much more effective way to learn. It's also kind of an easier, it's like a gateway drug almost, because when you're learning the dry, about dictionaries like and tuples, it's not very exciting, and you can't connect it to how this is going to be useful. It's very difficult to connect. However, when you are building, it's kind of magic, especially with vibe coding, and you can get those dopamine hits early on. You're like, yeah, I love doing this, and then the dry learning becomes part of that. So I think it's a really cool way to start coding instead of the traditional path, which is extremely dry. Okay, so welcome to Lead Magnet Generator. Complete your brand profile. So here you go. Okay, I mean it's better. It's it's a little less obtrusive. Let me just squeeze it. I mean, if you're squeezed, that's going to be extremely obtrusive. And I assume what I'm going to do, we can do this in in Inspector. We can change it into a different device. Can't I? Oops. Where is it? Oh, okay. I mean, this is idiot. So if I was on a iPhone Pro 14 Max, yeah, this is what it looked like. So it's still going to cover. So this is, I'm emulating what it would look like on different devices. So you can see Pixel 7, Samsung. It's not perfect, but it gives you a basic idea. So I'm going to take it out of responsive mode by clicking here. So that is better on desktop, but that's still covering the back of this, and on phones it's going to be rubbish. So, but for now, let's see if we've fixed the first issue. So AI with Kyle. What do you do? Stuff. Entrepreneurs. Actually, I don't even need that one, do I? What should people do next? Subscribe to YouTube. Boop. Okay, profile saved. So that seems to have worked. That has not triggered the next part. Let's first check if that's actually saved to the profile. So I'm going to do that by going out, back in. It's not there, is it? So okay, a couple of things. The modal, I see you've moved it into the top right. That's fine. It's still a bit obtrusive because it's covering the top right of the text box. Also, it's not going to work on mobile telephones because it's going to place itself over the elements, and it will be obtrusive. So try again with that. Second thing is, it allows me to click save and start creating lead magnets, but it does not appear like that information is actually saved, because when I've navigate away and then return to the profile page, that information is not in place. And third, when that information has been entered using the save and start creating lead magnets button, it does not progress the tutorial to the next stage. So three things. Most important, priority wise, most important is going to be the saving the profile details. Second is going to be moving us to the next stage of the tutorial. Third is going to be the responsiveness of that modal. I want you to tackle them in order. We're not going to tackle all three, but you're going to do one at a time and wait for my feedback. Thank you. So the reason I'm doing that is vibe coding tools like Lovable, like Cursor, all of them will go ahead and try to fix everything at the same time. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And if it doesn't work, then it would be hard for me to determine where it went wrong, because it's tried to fix three things. It might have introduced errors at any of those points, or it might be a previous error. So instead I'm going to say, here are the things I want to deal with. So at least they're offloaded out of my mind, but then I'll give a further instruction, which is we're going to deal with these one at a time. So it's going ahead and doing the profile details not being checked, which is what I told it to do first. I can see the issue. I found the issue. Okay. So it's going to give me, in a moment, it's going to say, perfect, I've done it. But before we progress, we're going to go and check if that's actually the case. Okay, fixed, apparently. But we don't trust it. We never trust it. It really is taking a while to update today. I don't know why. Okay, so I need to my testing tools, reset onboarding. This is the admin panel. That's not stuff people will see, but I can build tools for myself in the back end, which is what I did at the end of last week. So welcome to your lead magnet generator. Next, complete your profile. Okay, still a bit rubbish, but that's fine. Ah, it has my details there. So I'm actually going to change this to just my name. Let's see if that changes it. Okay, cool. That's, and now we're going to go back out. I'm going to, that's not ideal. Okay, that is saved. So we have that. So I'm going to change that back to, no, what I'm going to do is, that is the first fix that we wanted. So I can go back and say, cool, you've done that, and we're going to move on to the next fix, excuse me. Okay, that has worked. The profile now saves correctly. Let's move on to fix number 2. Thank you. And now I'm referencing something that we just had in the chat, so it will know what to go back to. So the second issue is the tutorial not progressing to the next stage when you save the profile. Let me check how the trigger next step function works in the onboarding hook. And what I need to think about is how we make those modals less obtrusive. So the modal, sorry TikTok, I'm banging the microphone. Modal is basically the pop-up which comes up above the rest of the page. So we need to make it so it doesn't overlap what we need to actually fill in. So we could either shunt the information down, or there might be a way to do it. I can't think of a good fix, so I might talk to Claude about this. So it says it has completed the next fix. So I'm actually going to do, so hey Claude, I have a, what do we call it, a tutorial walkthrough, onboarding tutorial, which has modals and takes the new user from page to page. However, sometimes the modals overlap content, especially on mobile. What are some best practices for onboarding modals that are, okay, I'm just going to go for that. Walk me through some options. So I'm going to an external AI to basically have that discussion because I don't know the answer. what I'd also do is go and have a look at other websites and how they did it. How do they manage? Smart positioning. Mobile first consideration, that makes sense. Use full screen modals for mobile, positioned modals for desktop. Okay, so tooltip tours, less obtrusive. Okay, the 3 types. We have tooltip tours, so it's a small like modal which pops up. Spotlight and overlay approach. Focuses attention. Yeah, dim the background, highlight the relevant areas. That doesn't work very well on mobile because sometimes what needs to be highlighted is like above or below, or it's just a bit gross. Inline. Guided empty states. Interactive hotspots. Okay, so it's saying hybrid approach for desktop is positioned modals, and for mobile bottom sheet and inline. Slide up bottom. Yes, I like that. So it will have the form that they're filling up, but there'll be a little modal that will slide at the bottom upwards. Okay, I like that. So we can go ahead and do that. First, let's see if that can move us on to the next page. Oops, a daisy. So I'm zooming around all over the place. I know it's annoying. So go back to here, pops up the modal, takes us to the profile. So that's still there, but we haven't fixed that. When I click, so let's add a brand tone. What's my brand tone? Cheeky. Profile saved. Didn't do anything. So trigger next step function works more reliably. Nope. Doesn't have a wait for condition. So when it navigates to the profile page, well, and waits for manual trigger, functions only works if, well, yeah, that's the problem. Okay, so so that did not work. Go ahead and simplify it so it just progresses on the button press. Surely that's simpler. I think you have leftover code from when you were trying to do it automatically. So instead, just wait for that button press at the bottom, the submission, to save the user information. Thanks. So I think the reason this has happened is because when it did the initial implementation of the modal overlay, it tried to do it on a timer, so it would wait to see if I fill in some information and move me on automatically. It was trying to do something a bit overly complex. Instead, we just want it to move ahead if they click the button. That's it. So let me simplify the onboarding to just advance when the save button is pressed, which I actually told it to do, but because it had the logic from the previous version, it was still waiting for some action, and that action was not just clicking the save button. So it got confused, it's got cross-wired. So simplified the onboarding to just advance when the save button is pressed, removing all the complex automatic detection logic. Cool. So it looks like it had tried to overcomplicate things, and we have just stripped it back and said no, just make it on a button press, which is much simpler. Now there may be a reason why it tried to do it that way. Maybe that's the best practice in web development. I could ask it, I could check, but I'm just going to push ahead for now. Back we go. Okay, so go to profile. Kyle, so AI with Kyle. Start generating. Did not work. Oh. Let's see if we had any console messages there. Nope. So, nope, still doesn't progress to step 3 of the onboarding. I'm going to put it into chat mode because I don't want to just keep saying fix it, because it's going to make a mess. Please Review the implementation plus your prior implementation using detection logic and diagnose. So I think what's happening is it's still messing up because it's using the prior detection logic with the simple button press. So I put it into chat mode, which means it will not rush off and implement. So it's basically a way of telling it to kind of calm down a bit, because me continuously saying fix it, fix it, fix it will just create spaghetti code. It will create an absolute mess, and I'll end up having to roll it back. So the current logic problem, when step 2 is triggered, waiting for action equals true and returns without advancing the step. Yes, and then another part of the function is looking for is waiting for action, but I don't. Step 2, looking at the step definitions, I notice that step 1 is welcome, step 0 is welcome, step 1 is profile, navigate to profile, that's fine. Oh, step 2, okay, I don't think it knows where to send it. Okay, you say that I am progressing from step 2 to step 3. That's because I'm not counting from 0 like you are. So that's my fault there. I mean from step 1, from that profile page, upon clicking the save button, it is not progressing to step 2, the YouTube input page. So that's just us. We're using different numbering conventions, that's all. Root cause. Actually, I think it's got it. So I'm going to allow it to implement without any additional. So it was that additional note that I just gave it isn't actually relevant because it was worked it out itself. We were just using different numbering systems. Python, or most languages, most programming languages, correct me if I'm wrong, somebody will know, they don't start counting at 1, they start counting at 0. So when you have a list, it will go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So when I was saying step 2, it was thinking of a different step because it started at 0, not at 1. But it doesn't matter, it worked out what I meant regardless. Oh, Alex says, hey Kyle, do you offer a monthly mentoring type thing? No, not really. I don't do any coaching or mentoring anymore. Just don't have time, sorry. I do, the closest is AI Workshop Kit. So I'm currently running a cohort. We're in cohort 5 at the moment. And that's like, you're in a private WhatsApp group with me, and I do live calls every single week. But that's specifically for people who want to deploy workshops with businesses and get paid to do that. So I go and teach in businesses, and I charge about £2,000 an hour to give workshops. The most I charge is $4,000 for 1 hour, which was great. It's more than I used to make in a month. So I license out my material and help other people to do that as well. And that's the closest to kind of coaching, because I work with them on a weekly, well, a daily basis. But in terms of like one-to-one, no, not anymore. Just don't have the time, unfortunately. I'll add debugging logs and fix the step advancement logic to properly handle the profile to YouTube input transition. Okay, fix the step advance. So again, we never ever trust it. We're just going to go ahead and check. How are we doing? 44 minutes. We haven't got much done really, have we? It's fine. These things happen. Somebody asked me in my past life, not my past life, in my past live, the news one that I do, they asked, how do you kind of deal with the annoying, I think I just messed it up by getting rid of that. Oops, daisy, so I'm going to reset that. Go back to here. How do you deal with the roadblocks? they're just part of the building process. It's part of creating a business, it's part of creating content, it's part of creating applications. There's always going to be annoying things, unfortunately. So AI cars, let's quickly change this. Solopreneurs, profile saved. Okay. So when I click it twice, it did take me there, but it did not push along the brand profile. So that is still information, just not very useful information. Okay, we have a little bit more information here. So when I clicked save profile the first time, it popped up saying I've saved the information, but it did not redirect me. When I clicked it a second time, it sent me to the main page, so the root page, where we can input the video. So I think that was the correct redirect. It did not progress the onboarding tutorial to the next step, but it did send me to the right page after a second click. So I think we're getting there. M says, hey Carl, just joined, what you doing? Hope you're okay. So this live stream is specifically building a new application in public. I started 2 weeks ago. This is day 11 of 30, and it's going from an idea, which I started on like the 1st of September, roughly, to hopefully revenue by the end of 30 days. And I'm spending 1 hour per day on the live. So I've got about 10 more minutes. And right now, specifically, we're putting in an onboarding flow for new users, so that when they sign up, they're going to be taken through the onboarding flow, and it will take them through how to use it. So I see the issue. The first click triggers the onboarding step, but doesn't navigate. The second click navigates because the onboarding state changes. Now when you click, oh, okay, so it wants me to check the browser logs, which I didn't actually do last time, so that's fair. So I'm going to go back to admin, just updating again. And the specific tool is this. So it's a tool to turn YouTube videos into lead magnets. So into like PDF guides, quizzes, checklists, etc. in order to capture emails off the back of YouTube videos. You stick in a YouTube URL, it grabs a transcript from Google, then uses AI to work it into multiple different lead magnets. And later I will add in Instagram, TikTok, etc. and the ability to create lots of other different lead magnets, and probably the ability to turn short videos and long videos into written posts. So for LinkedIn, there's lots of things I can do with it, but we're keeping it simple for now, which is always the struggle, because I just want to add more stuff to it. But when you add more stuff, things will go wrong, and you also don't get to launch. So we are moving towards a beta launch in the next few days. So I want to get this stuff done. So okay, go to profile, that brings it up. We still have the modal issue, that is fine. I'm going to just make a quick edit, click that. Okay, and now we're going to grab the console. There is no console, so it lied to me. Okay, let's pull that together. No errors in console. There we go. Oh, okay. Still, that will give it some debugging, so it can help work out what's going on. Perfect, I can see the issue. The logs show that when you click save profile, you're still on step 0, but you should be on step 1. Okay. So that seems to be it. Whether or not that's true, we will find out in a moment. M says, awesome, I literally can't live without your ChatGPT advice, especially the risen prompts. That's very kind of you, M. Thank you. Would you start a vibe-coded hackathon for best outputted app based on app-based followed build requests? Would you start a vibe-coded hackathon for best outputted app based followed build request? I don't fully understand the question. Do you want me to do a hackathon for people? Because that would be fun. It'd be very fun. Cool, perfect. I can see the issue. This is still on step 0. Fix the advancement issue. So again, we're going to go and check. So normally, because I'm vibe coding and doing it live on YouTube and TikTok, I can chat to you guys in between. Normally, there's quite a lot of downtime, and you can get very distracted and do other things. So this is quite good for me. This is one of the reasons why I'm doing it, is so that I'm not just playing with my telephone. I help people start businesses with AI. Start creating lead magnets. Profile saved. Okay, so that has moved to step 3 here, but it has not navigated me. So that's something. It's not nothing. So I'm going to grab the console again. So we have, that's a slight change. Okay. Oops, a daisy. Okay, so the modal now says step 3, add YouTube video, but the page is not redirected to the enter YouTube video page. And then I'm giving it the console logs again. Oh, based on my followers' build requests. So you asked me to build something and I build it. So what I'm going to be doing, I'm probably keep doing these. Oh, do you mean who's going to be building? So followers are putting build requests, and then other followers or other people would do the build, or I would do the build. So the things that I'm building personally are, well, things that I want generally, and things that I can slot into my products and my ecosystem. So I'm probably I'll do this build for the September, and then I'll do another build in October, and just continue on like this. I'm gonna call up somebody at the Lovable community team after this. I'm gonna give her a call and see if I can get some kind of sponsorship or at least free credits. I mean, the credits are fine. It's cost me $100 a month. It might cost me $200. It's not the end of the world, but it would be nice to get some help with the credits. So I'm going to give her a call up, and then we can make this a monthly thing. So I'll build a new application from scratch every single month and launch it and take it to revenue. That'll be the idea, and live stream the whole thing. So fixed the step advancement logic. Now the profile step won't advance until you actually save the profile. Good. And trigger next step will correctly advance from step 1 profile to step 2 YouTube internet. Okay. So it's told me it's fixed it a bunch of times, and each time it isn't quite right, but we've had some kind of small progression, or at least something that allows us to see what's going wrong. And then we feed that back and we say, hey, it's not quite working. Okay, go to profile, yummy, click. Nothing. Well, this is extremely annoying. If I click again, what happens? It took me there, but it's stuck on step 2. So we are back to where we were one step ago. Okay, Lovable. That has actually returned us to where we were a step ago, where when I click the first time, nothing seems to happen. It tells me that it saved the profile. It does not redirect me to the second page. It does not change the onboarding modal, so it still says step 2 of 7. When I click a second time, the redirect works and it takes me back to the home page, but it does not progress the onboarding modal to step 3 of 7. So we are back to where we were a prompt before. So I put you in chat mode because I need you to. I don't want you to. All right, I want you to diagnose this, but give me 3 possibilities this time. This is annoying. A hackathon so other followers do the build in a singular event promoted by yourself. Yeah, I'd love people to build, and I'll pull that together. I'd be very happy to. Okay, yeah, I'll have a think about how we can do that and whether it's live. Benar says, let me do some work for you, please, online as we're doing that as we're chatting. Sorry, what kind of work? Oh, a vibe code master. Well, so this live stream it's less about me building something. It's more about me helping people to realize that they can also build stuff themselves. I mean, it's a bit of both. I'm going to build something and take it to revenue, but the idea behind that is to show other people that they can do it. So it's less about rushing a product to market. Otherwise, I would just go ahead and work on this for 6 hours and have it completed probably tomorrow and launch it. But instead, I'm staggering it so other people can watch the journey and can watch how we go along. So the actual build is less important than the content, if that makes sense. All of these apps just build fancy shells. I've got paid accounts for all AI app builders just to see. Yeah, I mean, they build shells around ChatGPT and Claude, yeah. But you can still build a business off that. Because most people, remember, don't know how to access the ChatGPT API, for example. Yeah, sure, they could build this stuff themselves. Most people won't. Well, 1, most people don't realize they can. 2, the people who realize they can don't necessarily have the skill to do so. 3, the people who realize they can and have the skill to do so may not have the time, and they'd rather pay $20 a month for a service. In the same way that I will pay for SaaS. So like I use Folk for my CRM. I probably pay them $150, $100 a month. Could I code up my own CRM? Yeah, probably. Is it worth my time? No, not really. It's cost me a few $1,000s a month just to hire, a few $1,000s a year just to use theirs, and I can run my business on it, so there's no real need. So yes, what we're building are wrappers basically around ChatGPT. I don't think that really matters, because as long as there's a market and as long as you're solving a problem, you can make money. So React state batching issue. Okay, so now it is telling me totally different things. So it clears, is waiting for action, advances current step from 1 to 2. The console shows next step called current step 0 instead of the expected step 1. So it was meant to have fixed that in the previous. Okay, meant to have fixed that in the previous one. Diagnosis 2, double call prevention, logic missing. Look at the console logs. I notice when you click the button the first time, it shows the toast, but doesn't trigger the navigation. When you click the second time, it works, yes. This suggests there might be some conditional state that prevents the first call from completing properly, possibly related to the async of the superbase operation combined with React state updates. Ooh, that's I just want to click a button. Diagnosis 3, state synchronization between components. The is waiting for action state and current step state are not properly synchronized between the profile component. Okay, by the time this executes, the onboarding hook might still be in an inconsistent state where it thinks it's on step 0 instead of step 1. Okay, my recommendation would be to fix the state synchronization issue by ensuring that when we're in the waiting for action state, so do we need the waiting for action? Or could we just do we require the waiting for action state, or could we just basically hard code these to the button presses? Or explain why we need it. That wasn't a very cogent question. You need to communicate very clearly with AIs. That was a poor example. So I'm in chat mode, so nothing that happens now will affect. Great question. Well, I don't know about that, Claude. It's a bad question. Look at the current implementation that is waiting for action state serves a specific purpose, but you're right to question whether it's necessary. Let me break down why it was added. Modal obstruction. So it switches the modal to a compact waiting state. Well, it doesn't really though, does it? It shows a small non-obtrusive indicator. Tells you to complete the form. Yeah, I just want direct. Okay, yes, can we go ahead and just simplify this? This does not need to be complex. So direct button integration, please. And can you go back, can you apply this to all of the steps? Because I think you're overcomplicating, and then we'll deal with the UI UX element later. Okay, we are at the end of the live. I'm going to run this. You're absolutely right. This has become overly complex. Let me examine the current onboarding flow. Okay, I'm going to let this implement. I'm going to try it out, and then I'm going to finish up the stream. Okay, go ahead and implement. Hopefully it gets us there. Otherwise we haven't done very much in this hour, which is also fine. Well, it's frustrating, but it's also fine because we need to try things in order to find out what's working and what doesn't work. I pre-prompt in GPT or Claude and get an A10 to build the flow and webhook them into the build prompt. Yep, that works. I find Cursor works great as an audit tool. So yeah, what I normally do is, well, I have this. So Lovable is currently pushing to GitHub. What I'll normally do when I do a job is, or when I'm building something, is I will do the first stages in Lovable, push it to GitHub, and then pull it down into Cursor, and then continue in Cursor. The reason I'm not using Cursor is because this stream is to show people they can build in a simpler tool, and Cursor is still very intimidating for people. When they first open it up, it's like, ooh, what the hell is that? It's something that can be learnt. It doesn't take very long. It's still relatively easy compared to before vibe coding, but it's intimidating, and I want to make this as open as possible to as many people as possible and make sure that we're not gatekeeping this, basically. When I was in Stockholm meeting with Lovable a few weeks ago, I met some competition winners from the Lovable Shipped competition, and one of them, I think she came in 3rd place. She had never touched code in her life before, but she used Lovable to build basically an online school for teaching English based on the 10+ books she's written. She got all of that information into an app and is using it now to help lots of kids around the world. She, during her build process, people were saying, go try Cursor, use Cursor. She opened up Cursor and was like, ugh. Immediately, like, nope, absolutely not, closed it down, never opened it again, and continued to use Lovable and built something very valuable. So I want to make sure this stuff's as accessible as possible. So the people who are like, oh, you could use this is better, yes, I get that 100%, but it's not as accessible, and we want to make sure that we're not scaring people off. So something like Lovable, something like Bolt is a lot more easy for people to get started with, and then absolutely they can start using Cursor, they can use other tools later, they can use Claude Code, but we need to get them started first and foremost, which is why everything is using, we're using Lovable for this. Cool. So let's have a look and see if that worked. And then closing up the stream, and I will be back online tomorrow. So every single morning I do a one stream which is about the AI news of the day, talking about daily updates, news, etc., helping people to kind of keep on top of what the hell's going on. And then the second one is building. So go to profile. That totally doesn't work. So I will go ahead and have a look at this in the back afterwards, but I won't work on it too much, but I will get it fixed up so that we're not spending tomorrow's live still doing the onboarding flow, because that's very boring. Okay, but we're not quite there yet. Cool, thank you guys. I'm gonna close up the stream. Everything is available on YouTube, so my both lives, plus videos that are chopped up and easier to access. You don't have to watch the whole 1 hour. And there's a free newsletter as well, which comes out every single day, talking about the daily news and updates, and that is available if you follow the link in my bio. Wherever you are, there should be a link somewhere, and that is free to sign up. And I will see you tomorrow on the different lives or in the newsletter, and thank you so much for tuning in. Cheers, guys.